Hey guys, Shane McMurray from the Wedding Report. In this episode, I interview Susan, who's the wedding coordinator for Lake Shore Village Resort in Weare, New Hampshire. Check it out. All right, Susan, tell me about your business. Tell me what city you're located in. Give me your website address, your Instagram, any other stuff you want to share about online. Go.
Great. Hi. Well, I'm Susan Davis, and I am the wedding coordinator for Lakeshore Village Resort, and we are in Weare, New Hampshire, on a lake called Lake Horace. It's a 300+ acre lake, and it's beautiful. Yeah. So we have a lot of snow happening here today. So.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
It's not quite wedding season here.
Yeah, right. Probably not too many people getting married right now in the wintertime.
No, we don't have, I don't have winter weddings as much as I'd love to have them, for reasons like today. There's a lot of ice and snow and not quite what you want for your guests all traveling to a destination venue. So we are a destination venue, and it actually has been here 70 years. Wow. So it is historic. It's a historic ski resort. So the owner, Michael, his family, the Colburn family, have owned it for 70 years. His grandfather built it a long time ago, and started off as a 2-slope ski resort. And they built every lake house that is here. We have 19 of them, and they range from 4-person to 12-person. Wow. And they're like Adirondack style, beautiful lake homes. And so all the guests get to stay here for the whole weekend.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah.
And they started doing weddings 8 years ago. So, okay. And we've been very busy. Yeah. But it is a tent venue, which is why we're not open all year.
Yeah. Do you guys get a lot of travel in for skiing and stuff like that?
We do. So the resort's open all year, but the wedding season is later May, all of June, and then we actually saved July and part of August for our summer guests, who some have been coming 50 years to the resort. Wow. So, and there's generations. So we promised them we would maintain their summer getaway, and plus I need a little bit of a break.
Come on.
So I do 6 weddings, and then I do 10 actually from August through October.
Okay. So, yeah, that's good. Yeah. That breaks it up a little bit, right? So you're not swamped with weddings, and, but
yeah.
Yep. So how many slopes do you guys have now?
None. So it's no longer a ski resort.
Oh, really? Okay.
Nope. They stopped it quite a long time ago. I think back in the 80s, it no longer was a ski resort. There's a lot of the resorts like that around us, so people tend to go skiing at the bigger slopes.
Gotcha.
And we have the accommodations, and then we have a lot of other fun things to do with the lake and boating and all sorts of fun things to do.
So how you said you're in Weare, right, New Hampshire?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how far is that, like, from the biggest city? Give me an idea. Are you out in?
Well, from Boston, it's like an hour and a half.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not bad. It's only about a half hour from Concord, our state capital, and 45 minutes from Manchester.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad at all. That's a pretty good drive, actually. Yeah.
It is. And Manchester has an airport, so it's nice. So a lot of guests fly in, and like for the weddings, because most people are not from the area, they fly in, and it's easy. It's an easy drive from Manchester.
Yeah. Do you guys find that you get a lot of guests from that area, Boston, Manchester, so forth, or do you feel like you're getting people from out further?
I would say it's like a 50-50. So we do get I do get a good amount from Boston area. But I also, like this year, we have a couple coming from London, England. We have couples from California, North Carolina, New York City, all over. And a lot of them are tied they have family ties or they grew up here in New England.
Mm-hmm.
So their family and friends may be still here, and then it's nice because it's a getaway without asking too much of your guests to travel too far. So
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so tell me kind of what goes into what you do after. So let's talk a little bit about what the process is if I want to have a wedding there. Obviously, you have a limited time span that you have
yep.
weddings, so there's
Mhm.
probably some complications around that for guests. So what goes into that, and then if I, when I book with you, what's the process after that?
So first I have a really nice wedding package that I send out to all of my couples that inquire, an email. I do a lot on social media and a lot of digital marketing and things like that. We also have a big word of mouth.
Yep.
We get a lot of referrals from guests who have been here at weddings, and I had one bride last year who sent us 3 more couples.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
it's crazy. I think we owe her a weekend.
Sounds like it.
I do.
Hey, if you're
Um,
watching, she owes you a weekend. She's telling
I
me right
know, she
now.
knows. I'm gonna take good care of her. But
Yeah,
so we get through that process because to have a wedding weekend is a little more costly than just having a 1 day
yeah,
kind of affair, especially if it is like a barn style wedding or a tent venue. But for 1 day, for 5 hours, it's going to be a little different than when you're getting the whole resort for a whole weekend.
yeah.
So I like to be upfront about all of that with couples and not waste their time, coming. So that usually
So
sorts
wait,
out
wait.
some people.
They get the whole resort for the whole weekend?
Yes, and so do the guests. So they
Wow.
get the whole that's why we saved the summer for those summer guests, because the other times they can't come here. We
I
have
got
our
you.
weddings. So yeah, so we save the whole thing for them. And they so when they do come to do a tour, I give them it takes about a 2-hour tour. I
Mhm.
do go over everything with them. There's a lot involved in a wedding weekend as opposed to just in one day.
Yep.
And I take them in all 4 different styles of our lake houses. So they
Mhm.
have no surprises. They get to see them all. And usually by the last one, they're figuring out who is going where.
Yeah, right.
Uh, they do. I have a pretty high rate of people booking from the tours,
I'm sure.
because
Yeah.
it is nice, and once they get here, they already kind of know, all the details of what is included. So
Yeah. Great.
it's more seeing it and feeling it.
Now,
So
do you guys have vendors that are in the area that you are part of the deal, or do they bring in their own vendors, or is there a combination of the two?
a combination.
Okay.
So there's certain things I do have packages. I have 2 packages for them to pick from. Most go with the more inclusive one that they don't have to worry about as many things,
Yeah. Yeah.
down to a wedding pantry that I have a beautiful wedding pantry upstairs of like lanterns and table decor and table numbers. What are you going to do with all that afterward? So
Yeah.
I just have that here for them so they can just go up there and use whatever they want. But we provide like bartending service. It's one of those things that can make or break your reception,
Sure.
and also liability wise and all that sort of thing. So we provide that 6 hours of service, and all the linens for the whole weekend.
Yeah.
The ice are two. We have 2 tents they get. They get a Friday night smaller tent that's beautiful. It has sides on it and heat, fancy lighting, and it's right on the beach for a welcome dinner,
Nice.
and then a beach party both nights until 1 in the morning. We have beach
Hmm.
parties here, and
Nice.
then Saturday night we have the big tent that has it's a 40 by 80
Okay.
with sides and heat again and a granite floor,
Hmm.
and it's right on the opposite side of the beach, right on the edge of the water, which
Okay.
is
Perfect.
really nice. So
Yeah.
they get all that, you know, they get they get a 2-bedroom cabin for themselves. They get 600 pounds of ice, like silly things like that. It sounds, but
Yeah,
it's
I
a
know.
lot when it's all those details that you have to think of.
Yeah.
Our couples do get to bring their own alcohol, which is kind of nice, and they all like that. I'm not a bartender. We have an awesome service that we contract, but they help build like a shopping list for our couples.
Okay.
So, but they save a lot of money being able to bring their own alcohol for Saturday, and the bartenders will serve it for them.
That's cool.
Uh, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is nice. Yeah, because alcohol can get expensive. I mean, just
And
that alone is probably as much as the food sometimes, right?
exactly. Well,
But
priorities depends
yeah,
on
right.
what. um, but we let them. I have a really nice preferred list for all the other different kind of vendors,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I just feel like we have great vendors who want to be on this list. I'm very picky who goes on the list, who I
Yeah.
recommend. But I'm not, I'm open to if there's someone that they just love and it's one of their favorite restaurants and they cater, if they can accommodate a tent venue, that's fine with us as long as
Yeah.
they're insured and they have, they have a license to be a caterer.
Sure.
Um, and then we open it up to that as
Nice.
well. And same with DJs and things like that. It's kind
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
personal preference. So,
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, that's great. You give them the option.
mhm.
I mean, I can imagine like, especially for destination wedding, it's almost like, besides the dress and the ring and a couple of things, right? If you can get everything included, I'm seeing more and more people just want everything kind of included and in the
Yes,
same location. Just let's get it done, right? I don't want to have to deal with any of the other stuff.
that's true. Yeah. And a lot of them do go right off of my preferred list and they'll talk to me. And, I get to really know all of our couples very well. I work closely with them and in all the aspects of the wedding. And, a lot of them trust, they trust me and knowing what they might like.
Yeah.
Some of them prices doesn't matter and they definitely want a specific thing. Others are really watching the cost of certain things so I can really steer them another direction.
Hmm.
And like our preferred list has like a wide range of price ranges on there
Sure.
for
Oh
them.
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it has to,
Or
right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So how much does it cost for me to rent out the entire thing for the weekend? What does a wedding look like?
So our price is it's well the higher price, which is the one. I mean, you get a breakfast with that also. I forgot to mention that we have a snack shack on the beach,
Nice.
and it's so fun. And Sunday morning, we have a farewell breakfast, pancake breakfast for the couple and all their guests to get
Oh,
to
that's awesome.
say thank you and goodbye. And we hear some really good stories at that breakfast. Um, the resort owner, Michael, and his wife Jackie, and his mom and dad, Bev and Chet, they make the breakfast for everybody, and it's
Wow.
so fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's there's a small group of us that run the whole place, and they all get to know us very well. So it's
that's
really
great.
nice.
Sounds like it's
But
very family, very close knit group. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
it is, yeah, it
Yeah.
is nice. It's 18,500 for that's for the venue fee,
Yeah,
and
that's not
then
bad.
it's not too bad, and you get so much with it. So that's the price that of our higher package, and then on top of that would be your vendors and things like that.
Sure, sure.
And then the guests do their own accommodation. So so the couple assigns them because I
Hmm.
don't know what aunt and uncle can go
Yeah, yeah,
together or what group of friends can go together
yeah.
because they're sharing, 19 lake homes. And some of them actually, we have a brand new one being built right now. So we have been as one gets older and kind of needs a lot of work, and instead of fixing that, they're building new ones, which
Oh,
is
that's
so
cool.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're like kind of like Adirondack style looking,
Nice.
and they're really pretty. Um, So we
How
were
many
saying
guests?
about
Yeah, how many guests can you guys accommodate? And what do you normally see? 100, 200? What do you normally see?
so we go with the reception tent, the big tent, for the reception. That kind of determines how many guests we can have. So we can fit 170 as
Okay.
max in the tent. For overnight accommodations, we're at 136,
Hmm.
and then if they really need more, there's a few private lake homes, part of the resort, that will also rent to that
Oh,
we
okay.
can use. So that would
Yeah.
actually bring the number to 148. So we
Yeah.
can
That's
hold
actually pretty
quite a
good.
few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way,
So
I mean, you
everyone
can almost
stays.
have everybody there, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you
Yep.
seeing though on average, like for number of guests? Are you seeing it kind of like lower, or what do you see
No,
over there?
so for the wedding itself, the average is, I would say, 130 to 160, is
Okay.
a nice size. I always tell them, 170 is
It's
what we're
pushing it,
allowed,
yeah.
but I can't make a tent any bigger. It's,
Yeah, right.
you have your square footage, and I do my best, but I don't like, I like everyone to move around, and like the bar to have a lot of space,
Yeah,
and lots of room, on the dance floor. And
totally. Yeah,
I
makes
tell
sense.
them, the more you add, the less room you're gonna have to move around.
Yeah.
So they listen. I mean, 165 I've had last year. Most are like 150, I would say.
Okay. That's good. That's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Nice size, yeah. Most
Yeah.
everyone stays too.
Yeah. So besides make sure that you book early because you guys book up, right? And you only have limited time. What other advice would you give
Yeah.
couples?
Well, I mean, to me, and that's, one, you have to feel it. So when you come, I know I could tell right away. Most couples, they kind of know which type of venue they want. And
Yep.
if you don't know, then you should definitely make tour appointments at different types of venues, because you know our type is one. I mean, you're on a lake,
Exactly.
you're going to have a beach wedding, you're going to have accommodations and all that to deal with.
Mhm.
You might not want that. You may want to be in a lodge, with everyone's just coming for the day, or you want to be in a ballroom, which is totally different.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
kind of knowing what you're looking for and your budget, big,
Hmm.
big, big thing. If nothing's more sad than couples getting all excited and they're here and they really want to be here, and as I'm going through it with them, with pricing and numbers and stuff, it's so sad when it's like, oh gosh, we're in over our heads, and then
Yeah.
they realize they got excited, but now this isn't going to work out. Um, so kind of
Yeah.
knowing your budget, where you're going to be comfortable. You don't
Yeah.
want to push it.
That's pretty, that's one of the worst things I think, right? Because they get their hopes up and they get excited about it, and then they're like, they feel like they got let down or crushed because now it's way outside their,
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And making sure, they have the information, like, is, are your parents going to help with the venue cost? Like really breaking it down, like who's paying for what.
yep,
So everyone feels like comfortable, like, okay, plus you don't
yeah,
want dad going, what? How much do I have
yeah,
to
right.
pay? Yeah,
20,000? What are you,
I
crazy?
know.
Yeah,
And that doesn't include any food, right?
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another 5K, Dad. So we're looking at 25, 30K just right.
Right, exactly,
Yeah,
right. And Friday night, we do have the welcome dinner as well. So, but that I always tell everyone, it can be as, you can have it catered. Um, I have a great wood-fired pizza oven guy who comes, and it just fits the venue. It's so awesome.
sure.
You
Yeah,
get a keg, and some wine, and it's a relaxed atmosphere. It's where all your guests are meeting each other for the first time, some of them. I always recommend, like, do some fun games, scavenger hunts, bride team, groom team.
yeah,
People do the paddle boards and kayak racing. It's just fun.
yeah,
Volleyball, beach volleyball. Um, but if catering it is too expensive, then, you know, you can order pizza, get 20 pizzas and have them delivered, spend $300. You can't, you know,
Yeah.
or you don't have to do anything, you
Yeah.
know, you don't have to. They always feel like they need to feed people for the whole weekend. And I tell everyone, all these lake houses have a beautiful kitchen, they have a grill. They're all just happy to be here for you. They don't expect you to feed them every single meal. So,
Yeah, that's
um,
true. That's a good point because I think they might think or feel like, oh, because we're inviting you to this space, we're responsible for now feeding you. So that's a really good point. So,
right,
don't feel like you have to feed them breakfast, lunch, and dinner, for three
right.
days.
It can get
So
really expensive.
yeah,
Yeah,
right. Pretty quick.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do have
Cool.
a welcome basket service that I started. I noticed couples practically bringing like a U-Haul truck with all their stuff for the weekend, and I thought it was kind of silly. So, especially with, you know, they want to do a welcome basket for their guests for each
Yeah,
of the houses. So I started doing that for them, and I made out a sheet that they can check mark what they want in them. I do
nice.
the shopping for them and fill them. They have to deliver them. I don't have time usually for that,
Yeah,
but you know, I put a map of the resort and all the timeline for things.
yeah.
And that has breakfast, some breakfast stuff like oatmeal and granola bars
Perfect.
and things.
Yeah. Little
Yeah,
snacks. Yeah, that's
or just
perfect.
bring your own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Good. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the
Yep.
business side. What would you say is working well for you guys right now, business-wise?
Well, the weddings are working really well.
Yes.
You know, it's definitely getting to be a well-oiled machine. We, you know, and even just the resort itself. You know, we almost never have openings in our summer season.
That's great.
Everyone, it's just always consistently booked. So, you know, we're all a good team and passionate about what we do. So I think that really seems to be working, you know, very well.
That's great.
We communicate very well. Yeah, we run it kind of like we're all a big family, and, you know, every one of us jumps in and helps the other. So I
Mhm.
get often people say, "Oh, you have such a glamorous job." When I'm at the weddings, I have my dress on.
Yeah,
They have no idea. Like,
of
you
course
know,
not.
I was just in the back of a trailer slinging chairs from the beach, you know, and you
Yeah,
know, and then, you know, fix myself up and okay, back into the tent, you know,
yeah.
hello.
Hello.
It's kind of funny, you know, but
Yeah,
we all help each other to keep
yeah,
everything running really smoothly.
yeah.
So I would say that, and you know, really good relationships with our local people.
Hmm.
Um,
It's important.
you
Yeah,
know, yeah, we, you know, keeping good relationships with all of our neighbors. So imagine
yeah.
a wedding every weekend across the lake from your house. So, you know, we are very mindful of the 10:30 is usually the noise, like when we try to cut all the noise down for
Yeah.
everyone on the weekends. They can have fun till 1 in the morning, but just no amplified music on the beach.
Right, right. For
Um,
sure. That makes sense.
it's, you know, a respect thing. So
Yeah, that's
we
good. That keeps
to each
harmony
other
between
and
everybody,
our
right?
neighbors. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
What would you say is your biggest challenge right now?
Um, let's see, challenge. Well, I well, it's always a challenge, I think, is weather for outdoor weddings. We have been very lucky, and our like our last year season, not we had no rain. We don't
Wow.
even say that word in the wedding season. I'm like, don't even
Right?
say it.
Yeah. Don't even say it.
um, Right. But you know, I have a good plan B. So I think as long as you have a good solid plan, and you know, our smaller tent, we had added that because that actually can be I can do an entire beach setup in there for the
Hmm.
ceremony, which is and it's so beautiful. Um, making sure our couples just feel like, I mean, I can't control, unfortunately, those things,
Yeah.
but we can at least make it a good plan and make it comfortable for them. Um, nothing's worse than having it rain on
Yeah.
your outdoor wedding,
For sure.
especially for all the money you spent. And, I would say, though, I always make sure that our couples do understand that aspect of things. I try to be realistic with them when they're booking.
Yeah.
I do go over that with them during their tour and during, when we're talking about this stuff. And nothing's worse than that they didn't even think about it. And
Yeah.
God forbid it happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
can't control it, but at least, as long as you have that in your mind that it can happen and you're going to be okay with it, it's going to be fine.
Yep.
Uh,
Everything's gonna be okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So what advice would you give other businesses coming up in today or even few? I mean, eventually you and I are going to retire and we're going to get out of this
Yep.
work and move on. If you had to give one piece of advice, what would that be?
Well, I actually do always say this one thing to, I work with a lot of the colleges locally and I have interns all the time. I like to, I like to teach
Yeah,
as much as
that's
I
awesome.
can.
Yeah.
It's great. And the one thing I always tell all of them is, and other business owners is, I may have right now, I'm working on 26 weddings as we speak,
Hmm.
but every couple should feel like they're the only one. It's very important in the wedding world. It's easy to kind of go, oh, okay, you're June 5th, you're June 12th, you're, and
Yeah.
they're not. It's not like that. So I think it's important to have them feel and know that they have your attention, and make sure that they just don't feel like another number. So
Yeah.
it's that their concerns are valid, and you know that you're reachable, and you can, sometimes you can't tell them always good news. It's not
Yep.
always great news, but
That's true.
at least they have to trust you and know that you're speaking from your heart and you have their best interest for them.
Yeah, I
So
like if you can always make yourself approachable. I think that's hard for people sometimes. I know for me personally, my wife always tells me, "You're not always the most approachable," and I think it's just kind of like how I am. I don't know. So I try really hard to figure out, okay, am I, when I'm communicating with people, am I being approachable? Are they, am I bringing that persona off? And I think that's really important what you just said, because a lot of times we don't think about that. We don't think about how the other person sees us. Um,
mm-hmm.
we're just in our own mindset. This is how I do it. This is how I communicate, and it's really important that we I think put off the perception that, look, you can approach me, whatever you need. Let me hear. I'm here to help you. It's your
Yep.
day. Let's work through this. So yeah, that's really good
Right.
advice.
Thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do give them my cell phone number right off the bat, and their parents. And it's funny. I always tell them, as you get closer to your wedding date, you start thinking of all these little things.
Yeah.
And I always say to them, listen, I'm a late nighter, so or I wouldn't do what I do.
Yeah.
So if you don't go to bed thinking about it, because I don't want you to forget either in the morning. So definitely text me, and they laugh. Sometimes it'll be 12:30, and then they'll be like, I'm so sorry, I wasn't thinking what time it was, and I'll respond back.
Yeah.
And but that just makes a difference, that they
Yeah.
feel like,
Absolutely.
you know
Yeah, for
have
sure.
a good go-to person. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Cool. Last question. What is your best or worst wedding or business story? Could be either one.
I did say I was going to write a book one day.
Yeah,
Funny things that
you
happen
should.
here.
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that happens out there. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a lot of them, but I would say, well, there was one that was it last year? It starts blending. I think maybe it was last year. I did have a bridesmaid in her gown. decide she was an Olympic swimmer, and she swam.
Oh, wow.
I happened to see this little head way out in the water, and it was just when the sun was starting to come down.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, is that somebody out there, from the wedding? And she just decided to swim across the lake, and we did get her safely back. she
Oh, that's
she had
good.
been celebrating a little too much, so the
Yeah.
mom mode of me kicked in when I got her back to the beach, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what were you thinking? But she was fine. Everything was good. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Was
we
she
have a
trying to
lot of
swim across the lake or something? Across the other to
She
the other
was,
side?
yeah. I was impressed. She even had her shoes on. She had
Wow.
everything. It was very
Wow.
impressive. Yes.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then you're like, oh no, man, what's going on, right? Did you guys have to send a boat
Right.
out to get
Yeah.
her? Or?
Yeah. It was a little scary. But you're trying to keep calm. Yeah. But we have a lot of things that
Oh, I'm sure.
the donuts not showing up for the donut wall, or things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always something happening. But
Yeah. Good.
you know.
Good. Yeah. Susan, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you. It was so nice meeting you.
You
Thanks.
as well. Okay. Talk to you later.
Take care.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. I hope that you found it helpful. Please share it with other people. Also, if you're getting married or you work in the wedding industry, I would love to interview and share your information with other people. Send me a text 520-399-8580 or shoot me an email at letschat@wedding.report.